Hey, everybody, welcome back in for another of our series of Facebook Live interviews as we are all coping with this new normal and trying to navigate our way through this. Also, looking to our elected leaders to find out what we need to be doing, how we can process this and move forward, and also protect our small businesses, our business owners, our employees, and those who are unfortunately out of a job as a result of COVID-19. And I want to bring in today Congressman Joe Cunningham from the 1st District of South Carolina, and he has unique perspective on this because, first of all, we want to start with this. Number one, thank you for being here. But give us the latest on your.
Well, thanks, Brad, for having me. I feel great, and I want to thank everyone who has reached out with well wishes, either on Facebook or Twitter or email. I feel, Brad, to be one of the fortunate ones because my symptoms were so mild. And as you may know, it was essentially my loss of taste and smell that prompted me seeking out care. And sure enough, I tested positive for it and just got out of quarantine about 2 days ago. But feel great. We're just like I said, I feel like I'm one of the more fortunate ones, and we're thinking about all those other folks who have been crippled by this virus, and keeping them in our thoughts and prayers, as we are the folks on the front line, the doctors, the nurses, those people work tirelessly in our communities.
Well, take us back through your process and how it all started, and just when we were at that point and where we were in this. It was still pretty early in our fight in South Carolina. What was that feeling like when you got the call that you were indeed positive?
Well, I got back home from DC a few weeks ago and was notified by the Office of Attending Physician, the house doctor, said, hey, you came into contact with another member who's since tested positive for corona, so you need to quarantine yourself. So under the doctor's orders, I quarantined myself in my house. And right after that, or around that time, I noticed I lost my sense of taste and smell and thought that was weird and thought it may be allergies or the pollen or something. And then a few days after that, I start seeing these stories pop up about how loss of taste and smell could be an indicator of testing for the coronavirus. And so, I went to musc.care, went through the proper steps, ended up getting a test done because I was on the verge of going back up to DC to vote for this last stimulus package, but I didn't want to get on a plane or go up to DC if I actually had the virus. So sure enough, got the test back. It was positive, and quarantined myself for another extended period of time. And but like I said, my symptoms have been very mild. But the other person who I presumably got it from, he was about my age, and he was in the hospital for like 8 days, and it knocked him down pretty hard. But that just goes to show, Brad, like the complexity or the broad effects of this virus is that it can. You have a lot of folks who, like me, who may be walking around with it and not even know they have it. And that's really the most dangerous part about it, because they can be infecting and exposing, the more vulnerable members of our society, the elderly, the people with autoimmune issues and stuff. So it's really, really concerning, though.
It's interesting how your symptoms came on because I think it was like the day before, because I think I saw you walking through our building. Maybe it was Patrick's Day or the day before, somewhere around there. And I had just read this when you said that you had lost your sense of taste and smell. I had just read like the day before in a random thread deep in a Twitter post. There was a heat map, a Google Trends heat map on what people were Googling. And South Carolina was among the hotspot states Googling loss of taste and smell. And that, it was in South Carolina, it was in Washington State, and it was in New York.
Yeah.
It was so interesting. As soon as you said that, I was like, wow. And that's
Yeah.
one of those symptoms that people hadn't really talked about yet.
Yeah. And I saw it on a New York Times article, a few days after it happened to me. I remember I was eating leftovers for lunch one day, and I couldn't taste the spaghetti and meatballs that my wife had cooked. And so I went home and I was like, those meatballs are pretty bland this time around, which, I wouldn't advise anybody saying that, but, obviously it wasn't her cooking, is my fault. And so after I slept on the couch that night,
Right.
but it's just, and then a few days later, I found out more information. And so, but I think that should be a indicator, and that's what we've been trying to, like I said, I'm really fortunate. My symptoms are so mild, but we're trying to educate other people that for folks who may have a loss of taste or smell, you don't have to automatically chalk it up to allergies or something else. You need to be cautious and be mindful of your surroundings.
We're seeing the case, unfortunately, grow every single day. Another 200 plus yesterday here in South Carolina. Now every county in South Carolina has at least one case of coronavirus. Governor Henry McMaster at this point has been very hesitant to order what 38 other states have, and that is that shelter in place or that stay at home order statewide, almost leaving it up to the municipalities at this point and counties to make their own call. You've been among those urging the governor to go and pull the trigger. Dr. Anthony Fauci says that every state should be under this. Where are you in how the governor is progressing? Because at this point, he hasn't pulled the trigger. Are you okay with the way we are right now, or do you want more?
Yeah, look, I mean, obviously, we've been advocating for a statewide stay-at-home since, I guess, Monday. Is when we came out advocating for it. And, to the governor's credit, a couple of days after that, he, gave the executive order of closing not only the beaches, but the non-essential businesses. And I commend the governor for doing that. I think it's a step in the right direction. Is it where we want to be? Yeah, not enough yet. But, he gets us a good, took us a good portion to where we want to go. And like I said, it's a great step in the right direction. And so you have to give credit where credit's due. These aren't easy calls for people to make. And but that was the right call. Would we like it to go a little further? Sure. But I think what is important is we can't rely on the government to solve all these problems. We also have to be socially responsible and personally responsible for our actions, and tell folks to make sure if you don't have to leave your home, don't leave your home, and don't look at it as you being stuck at home. Think about it as you being safe at home. You're keeping yourself safe, your family safe, and other members of our community who may be more vulnerable. And not only that, but you're protecting the people on the front line, the nurses, the doctors. Our medical resources are strained enough as it is, and we can't be imposing more burdens on them. So, again, I think this is going to be a community effort to tackle. I know we're doing what we can on the federal side, especially with this latest stimulus bill, and we'll continue to work even more to try to flatten this curve and try to recover from this thing economically as well.
Well, talk about the economics of it, because that the stimulus package, Steve Mnuchin already said that, look, we want these business owners to take and use it to bring employees back and to pay them so that they can keep going. He also said, look, if that's not enough money, if we run out, he's going to ask for more. I mean, is there a money tree that going to keep sprouting bills, or like what's going to happen here? Because I feel like a lot of people are like, well, that's awesome. This is nice that we're putting money back into the economy, but that's all got to be paid for somehow.
Right. Yeah, Brad, and it's a great point. And there's two parts to this equation. There's the economics of it, and there's also the life and safety and health aspect as well. And so as we work to flatten the curve, either by executive orders or, like I said, social responsibility through our own measures and through our own behavior, we have to balance those two somehow. And if we're just throwing money at this and we're not being socially responsible and taking best practices to wash your hands, to keep social distance, cover your mouth and stuff, and we're not flattening the curve, if we're not doing that, then we're essentially just lighting money on fire to keep ourselves warm. So we have to be looking at this as two parts of this equation. And yes, this is expensive. However, these small businesses in our community, the food and bev, the tourism industries, I hear from these folks every single day, and I'm constantly in contact with them. And talked to a gentleman yesterday who owns a string of retail stores, and he was prepared to lay off 80% of his employees, he told me, until this stimulus package came through, and he's applying for this PPP with his local bank. So it's making a difference. and we're trying we're trying not to cause further economic harm. And but at the same time, like, we got to look at this as two parts of the equation and recognize there's a role for the federal government to play, but there's also a role for us to play individually.
These restaurant owners, these small business owners, they're days away, in some cases hours away from
Yep.
being forced to make that horrible decision of laying people off or shutting doors. Now that everything is passed and signed and through, talked about having to apply. How quickly is this going to get turned around so that these folks can have that money to spend?
Well, I know the banks opened up today their application process for PPP, and we would encourage anybody who has any problems, any issues, reach out to our office, cunningham.house.gov. Our staff has been working around the clock on a variety of issues, not only economic ones, but you may have seen where 11 of our constituents were stranded down in Peru, and we worked with the State Department to get them home this past week, some of whom had medical conditions they need to get back on U.S. soil. So, this pandemic is impacting different areas of different people's lives, and whether, like I said, whether it's economic or another aspect, I want everybody to feel comfortable and welcome to reach out to our office at any time and let us know if you have any problem applying with for small business loans, for the grants, like I said, for the PPP and others. We're here to help, and we're here to serve.
Transition right to where I wanted to go next, and that is about the hikers who were in Peru from South Carolina who were stranded there. Walk us through what happened, how you were contacted, and what all went down there.
Yeah, well, 11 of our constituents went down to hike Machu Picchu, which is something a lot of people want to do, and they went down there, and the timing wasn't so great. They got shut in down there with very little notice to get out. They recognized that it wasn't quite as simple as just purchasing a plane ticket and getting out of the country. So they called our office, and we responded, and we worked with the State Department. I mean, this took days and days and days negotiating with the State Department and negotiating with the government in Peru. Not only that, but the logistics of getting these folks from where they were to the airport in Cusco, Peru, and then flying from there. I think they went from there to Lima, to Florida, and then back to Charleston. So it took a lot of time and a lot of work. However, that's what we're here for. It's kind of uncommon or a little bit unusual. We don't get calls every single day to try to get people out of Peru, but that's our job, and we're, like I said, we're here to serve. We're here to help in any way possible, and we want to encourage everyone else that for whatever issues you may have with any federal agencies, our office doors are always open. While we have staff working remotely, we're still working around the clock and here to help.
In fact, we can hear your computer going off right now with likely more communication on trying to get some of that work done.
Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. No. Listen, we're all working from home. This is the way things work.
It's kind of a new norm right now, and we're adjusting to it. Just someone else, and I've got my working from home, my wife and our 2-year-old, and a lot of young families and families are under the same circumstances, and it's challenging. It's for sure. So, but we will get through this, and we're going to get through this together, and we're going to be stronger on the other end.
So far, the hospitals have held up here because we haven't had a mad rush on that. Whether that's the result of our social distancing and people doing the right thing here, or still not toward the peak, which is now predicted to be end of the month, maybe 1st of May. We have gotten messages here and there from nurses and doctors who are concerned already with when it comes to supplies, with the PPEs, with the masks. Is South Carolina ready for the rush that could be coming of people going to the hospital because of this virus?
Yeah, well, we've definitely been working around the clock preparing. I was on a call yesterday with the South Carolina hospitals, along with Senator Graham and Senator Scott and Congressman William Timmons and others, and just talking about where we are exactly and what other resources we need. And obviously, we're going to continue working to amass the stockpile of protective equipment, and it is a concern, and it's at the front burner as far as what we're working on. And like as you said, every single county in South Carolina now has a confirmed case of this. we're going to continue to monitor this and continue to be on call for whatever needs these hospitals and first responders need, and advocate for more supplies, more tests, and just try to work as hard as we can together to deal with this situation.
What were their projections? Are they can they handle that influx if we get to that point?
I mean, right now the hospitals are okay. I'm talking to Dr. Cole for MUSC and others. Right now things are steady, but yeah, everybody's apprehensive as far as what could come, and there is a point where these facilities will be, could be overwhelmed. And that's why it's important to keep on pushing out this message of what people should do, and about the steps. And if you have any symptoms, what should you do? And we tell people, if you have any of these symptoms, contact your doctor first. Don't go to a hospital. Don't travel out to a doctor's office, but contact them on phone. And if you don't have a doctor, go to musc.care. That's what I did, and I took the online survey and gave them my symptoms. And then from there, if you meet the criteria, you would drive out to the Citadel Mall in West Ashley to take a test. And so we're working on fine tuning all these things, getting more tests, making sure the turnaround time is more prompt. And there's a lot of things that we're trying to adjust to make it more streamlined and make it more efficient. But this is a 24/7 issue that our office is focused on, as are the medical facilities and our people working on the front line.
Congressman Joe Cunningham, I wanted to. You were talking about all those frontline workers and everybody who's out there, just to get the message across to everyone how important these folks are. And if you see someone, know them, drop off lunch for the doctors, the nurses, the firefighters, the police officers. Saw a note today. Hey, let's not forget about the auto mechanics who are keeping all of those vehicles on the roads as well,
Right.
because they're all playing a huge role for us.
Yeah, everyone step up to the plate. There's a saying, not all heroes wear capes. A lot wear scrubs and other uniforms, and that's and all the way down to to everyone who's going to work every single day and maybe exposing themselves. People working cash registers at the supermarkets. I mean, you have to keep everyone in our thoughts and prayers, and come together as a community. And we've gotten through worse. We're going to get through this. And I wholeheartedly believe that when we come out on the other side, we're going to be stronger as a result.
That's the plan. Let's have some fun. Tiger King or no Tiger King?
Definitely Tiger King. I mean, I'm
You
still
seen
trying to
it?
digest. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And
I was quarantined in my house for 2 weeks. And so yeah, when I put my son down at night, I would resort to that. I mean, that was pretty pretty
you got
pretty
through all
wild.
7?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Made it through all 7. What'd you think?
I haven't. Listen, I'm the last guy on the planet. I haven't seen it. I got 4, so I don't have time. I don't have time to watch it.
I know. Well, like I said, late at night after you put the kids down, you might be able to unwind with that. But yeah, it's just
What else are you doing for fun?
One of the words for it.
I know.
I'm playing a lot with my son, and inventing new games, and really, trying to make up on some lost time when I've spent up in DC, and says make up some lost time with spending with my wife and my 2-year-old. And it's just been really, at that age, as you know, Brad, my son's talking more and more, making complete sentences, and it's just it's been a blessing in disguise to be able to spend as much time with him as I have been, and watch him grow and watch him, watch his mind develop and everything. So that's been the silver lining in all this for me personally. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what it is, because everybody, you see the memes and stuff on Facebook and Twitter that, Monday's been a really long year. We've been allowed to slow down. It's forced everything to slow down, and you and I are in a fortunate spot because our kids are still young, and this is the time that we're forced to slow down. So I guess that is the blessing in disguise. Yeah.
I saw something online today. It said, in case anybody lost track of the days, today is March 95th. I'm like, it's kind of what it feels like,
March longest year in a long time.
Yeah,
Congressman
yeah.
Joe Cunningham, I really appreciate you taking the time to pass things along. So glad you're doing well. Best to the family, and we'll certainly be in touch here as we roll forward.
Thanks, Brad. Same yours as well.
All right, man. Thanks. Be good.